Hey there, everybody. It's been a while since I made a video, and been having a fairly strong demand for sewing machines lately. My inventory is getting a little low, so it's time to find a few more candidates for restoration. In case you don't know, I have a hobby I've been working on about 7 years now. I restore vintage home sewing machines. I also work on industrials, but the home machines are the ones I think I enjoy working on most. And I choose machines that are what I call heirloom quality, meaning they are all steel, all metal. And I find machines that I think are worth investing the time and the customer's money in. Because these are machines that once they've been gone through and fully overhauled, and I use the word restored because I take them all apart, inspect them, and make any repairs that are needed. And once that's done, these machines should be truly heirloom quality. They were built in a time when consumer items were made to last. And anyway, it's just a hobby that I really enjoy. You'll see a variety of machines on my postings on Craigslist, and there's a reason for that, because sewers, I've met many sewers over the years, and they all have needs that are unique in some ways. And so I try to create, to offer a variety of machines. Some of my sewers, they only want straight stitch. Some people need zigzag or decorative stitching. So this machine is called a Universal Model 302L, which for most of us means absolutely nothing. And you've probably seen machines that kind of sort of look like this. They're from the late 50s and early 60s. And these are referred to in the vintage sewing machine world as vintage clones or Japanese clones. Now, the first clones looked like the Singer 15 model, and they were straight stitchers. And I'm going to have one of those coming up actually in black. But this, the Japanese then took the next version of the Class 15 machine, which again was engineered originally by the Singer company. And there's a reason that Japanese copied it, because it was one of the most legendary of the many legendary Singers. Anyway, what they did was when Singer's patents started to run out, the Japanese took over and they made many versions of these machines. The manufacturers in Japan included names that you guys, those of you who are sewers, recognize these names today. Names like Janome or Juki, and even Toyota, who would go on to make cars, was making sewing machines at this time. And so the very first sense of Japanese quality actually appeared in sewing machines. And the reason, you'll see the name Universal, I'm going to list that when I put the listing on Craigslist. The name Universal doesn't mean anything. And you say, well, why doesn't it say Juki or Janome? Those companies, which are very well known today all around the world, they didn't have a very strong name recognition because they were new, or they were basically young at the sewing machine business, and so they would do a lot of private labeling. And you will see machines under all sorts of names. Sometimes it's a department store, sometimes it's a distribution company like Atlas. And the brother company was another one that made what we would call here in the U.S. private label designs. And this machine has straight stitch, and it has zigzag. And in the 50s, zigzag was still a pretty big deal. The Italian Necchi company had perfected it, and then the Japanese started taking over all metal construction because it got too expensive to do in Europe and the US. So basically you have two lever controls on the front here. You have stitch width, and I'll adjust that in a little bit when we do some zigzagging, and then you've got stitch length, and of course you have full reverse, and you also have a bobbin winder on the front. You have a light bulb here, which I'm going to turn off because I'm in the sunroom, and I think this will show up a lot better. You have things like your stitch tension control here, and you can also drop your feed dogs. Many of these old machines the feed dog drop mechanism was never used because a lot of people didn't do free motion work or darning, and many of these vintage machines, this item is often stuck, but I go and basically clean it. I take all the old varnish out and I make them run, and of course this one works beautifully now. So anyway, it uses Class 15 bobbins, has a very common and easy to find bobbin case, so you should be fine when it comes to finding things that you might need. There aren't a lot of things you need. It takes home sewing needles. I currently have a size 16 Oregon titanium needle in here, and you guys see me often use large needle sizes because I do medium to heavyweight fabrics, sometimes very heavyweight, because a lot of my customers want a machine that can do that, but of course you can also sew silk and chiffon with these as well. I'm going to start for you guys with a straight stitch, and I'm going to be sewing sort of a medium weight almost like a drapery weight. It looks like a linen, but it's really a cotton, and it's got a hem here. I'm going to do 2 layers of this to start out. Machine runs very quietly. Most of the Japanese machines do. I'll do a little back tacking so you can see that. And I can go slow if I want, control my needle, or I can speed her up and really let it rev. One of the things I've noticed about this machine and some of the Japanese clones, this one in particular, is that it has an unusually long stitch length. As you move up in time from, say, 100 years ago to today, you'll notice that the early sewing machines had shorter stitches. And some of these, like this one in particular, this is basically, it's actually more than 1/4 of an inch, which is pretty darn long as straight stitching goes. Now I'm going to shorten my stitch length. Come over here, make a very easy adjustment. Because I want to show you that the machine does make really short, nice fine stitching. And it's just a beautiful quiet hum. You can barely hear it move at all, actually. As I go through this, I'm going to show all of you the stitches so you can see the quality. Let's see here. You'll see those really nice. I've got a pink thread. You can see the very long. And I basically created the longest and the shortest stitch. You could, of course, do stitches that are in between. And then, of course, you'll see the blue thread on the other side. Let's take this and I'm going to double this over so you guys can see two, you can see 4 layers of this fabric. And now I'll come over here and we'll reverse our colors so it'll be easy to see which stitches are which when I switch over for you guys. This machine comes with a really nice pecan wood cabinet. I don't always see pecan wood, but this one was, you had a lot of choices when you bought sewing machines back in the day. You could pick cherry and mahogany and so forth, and this customer chose pecan. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new run now, and I'll be doing, again, long. And again, any vintage sewing machine should do this. It should run right through this material with no problem. And I'll pull this up again in a minute. You guys can take a look at the 4 layers. I'm going to come over here, and then I'm going to do some zigzagging for you. Come way over here. There we go. And zigzag is very simple. You loosen this knob. You bring this, whoops, I should have pulled my needle up and keep my fabric from moving. I'm going to come all the way over and just do the widest zigzag. And I'm going to lock it in place. I mean, it's beautifully simple that way. You don't have to put a lot of thought into how to change settings on this machine. And I'm going to go long so you can see the zigzag. And then I'm going to shorten it so you can see that it can actually do a satin stitch, or what many people call satin stitch, which is really a very short zigzag. Let's see here. Okay, so now you guys can see, you'll see my zigzag and my long. This is with 4 layers of sort of a medium weight drapery fabric. And now you'll see the blue, where my blue? Yeah, you'll see the blue thread on the other side. Some of it kind of went over the other, so let's see if I can get it in the light there for you guys. There we go. Yeah, and again, it holds tension beautifully. Really long, extra long stitches, longer than what I'm used to seeing. Now I'm going to put the machine through a pace I often do with all my machines, which either cargo pants or denim. Right now I've got some high quality blue jean denim here from a pair of Levi's, and I want to do this. I want to use this because I want people to see the fact that the machine will be able to handle different fabric density, a dense seam. Very important test for any sewing machine. And I'm going to come back over to straight. Oh, let's do a long stitch, long length stitch. It'll be easier for you guys to see on the denim here. And I'll do my back tack again. This machine, by the way, I forgot to mention to you guys, has an extremely strong motor. It comes with a made in Japan electric motor, and it is 1.3 amps. That's almost 3 times the power of most new sewing machines. So I'm going to show you guys. This is the, there we go. And you'll notice that when it goes over the seam, it doesn't miss a beat, right? And of course I have blue thread. I don't even think you guys will see this at all, but again, the stitch is balanced, tension's great. There he goes. That blue is slightly lighter than the denim. Sorry about that. And for my last demonstration here, I'm going to do some garment leather. Okay, guys, I wanted to just get my leather set up, and I have 3 layers of garment leather. You can sew leather with these domestic machines when you have a strong motor like this one. I do not currently have a leather tip needle in here because I'm doing a variety of sample sewing for you guys. But ideally, I would really want a leather tip needle to make the machine's job even easier. But let's see what it has to say when I'm using a fabric needle. Some of you with leather will not necessarily back tack. You'll do that by hand, but you can if you like. We'll come back over here. I want you guys to see that. I mean, that's a very strong sewing machine, right? And it's hard to see the blue thread on the other side here because it's suede, but the stitches are amazing. So that's quite a variety of density and material, and I did it all with one needle. Again, if I'm sewing leather, I want a leather tip needle. So one of the things you're going to see when you see this machine price is you'll notice that it's less costly than some of the others. Keep in mind, when I price machines, the vast majority of what you're seeing in that price has to do with labor. To restore a machine like this, and many machines that have these I call them outboard or rear mounted motors, it takes less hours. It takes a lot of time because every machine gets the same treatment from me. But there are certain machine designs like the Singer 201, some of the Slentomatics, and a few others that take twice as many hours. And so that's one of the reasons you'll see the pricing sometimes vary. So the fact that this machine will say it'll be priced less than some of my other machines, don't view that as a quality difference because this thing is all steel. It's really amazing, and I think for many of you, straight and zigzag is 100% of all the sewing stitches you're ever going to need. So again, you can find bobbins for these. There's not really much you guys need to do once you get a machine like this from me. You just keep your bobbin area clean of lint, which you do with any machine, and you oil it with each project, and the manual will show you how. So if you guys have any questions, you want to set up a time, you can bring your own materials. I'd be happy to let you sew on those. I have different needles and different thread types here, or you can simply use some of the materials I have. If you're new to sewing, I'm happy to show you how to use this machine. You will be amazed at how simple it is. And if you're a seasoned sewer, then I'd love for you to sit down and try her out. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching.